Hello Year 6. This is a two-part lesson. We started the first part of the lesson last week and we're continuing with our learning objective to be able to draw a self-portrait. Last week you should have created an oval shape for your head and you needed to look at the diagram provided and start to think about where your facial features belong. Hopefully most of you positioned the facial features accurately. Some of you have handed in your work, which is great, as I could have a look at it and give you some feedback. What I want all of you to look at today, before we move on with today's lesson, is whether you have positioned your eyes correctly. So the eyes should be, and I'm going to show you on the diagram, positioned halfway down the face. There's the oval, positioned halfway down in the face, and the eyes are on that midpoint of that halfway line. You should also be able to fit an eye's width between your two eyes and a half an eye's width on each side of your head. So please check the proportions of your eyes, as this will very much affect whether you are able to achieve a self-portrait that's realistic or not, or whether you will end up looking like an alien. So that's what I want you to do right now, is pause the video and check your facial proportions, because there's no point going to add detail and tone today until you have done that. So once you've done that, you can unpause the video and move on to part 2, today's lesson, adding detail and tone. I want you to look carefully at your individual features of the face and add tone to create form. It needs to, and this is your star challenge, you need to make it look as much like you as possible. So you will need a pencil, a rubber, and a mirror or a photograph of yourself in order to achieve that. Now, I would like you to focus on one part of your face at a time, whether that be the eyes, the nose, or the mouth. Looking at the eyes that you can see in front of you, you can see these eyes are made up of tone and line. That particularly the eyelashes is something I want you to look at. They're made up of very thin curved lines. They're not all the same length. They're of different lengths and thicknesses. I also want you to look at the position of the pupil. Depending on where you're looking, that position of the pupil will change. In this example, you can see a white area around the pupil, and in this example, you cannot see a white area towards the bottom. So please make sure when you are drawing your eye that you're looking and observing it. You're not making it up. This is not about making things up. This is about creating a realistic self-portrait of yourselves. Then, moving on to the nose. The nose is made up of tone. It is not made up of line. In order to create this tone, it might be useful to use the side of your pencil and also to have an eraser or rubber handy so that you can rub out any areas that you feel perhaps you've added too much tone to. For example, if you'd added tone to this area of the nose and actually you think to yourself, I shouldn't have done that, you can use your rubber and just erase those areas. So once again, made up of tone and not of line. And moving on to the mouth, very similar, made up of tone and not of line. So once you've done the eyes, nose and mouth, I have added these attachments to today's lesson so that you can actually just stop on the attachments and focus on these different facial features. This lesson will take you an hour. If you are really focusing and trying to make it as realistic as possible, stopping, looking at the eyes, stopping, looking at the mouth, stopping, looking at the nose, this is an hour-long lesson. And once you've done that, you can start to look at the cheeks and use tone to indicate those areas, as well as the chin area. All about using tone. So number 1, you're going to study the individual sheets. Number 2, you're going to focus on adding tone to the eyes, nose and mouth. Number 3, you're going to start looking at tone on the face and cheeks. Number 4, you are going to observe and draw your hairline. Then you're going to upload your work to Google Classroom. Your star challenge is to ask someone in your family, do they recognise this drawing that you've done? Can they recognise the person who you have drawn? And if they can recognise who you have drawn, then you have met today's star challenge. I look very much forward to seeing your self-portrait. Next week we'll be looking at an abstract portrait work of Picasso. I will see you soon. Have fun.